to Nature Venture. I'm your host, Amalia Alduenda, and today I have brought with me for you a beautiful friend of mine. Her name is Nicole, and she is a galactic being. And I wanted to bring her on here because I need some help in sharing with you guys the amazing, beautiful cosmic experiences that are taking place right now on Earth that we all have an opportunity to tune into when we allow our consciousness to integrate with these new ways of consciousness, right? So my friend here, okay, let me tell you a little bit about her before I bring her on. Currently, she's living in Sedona. She's doing a lot of grid work. She is a teacher, and she works with really bringing in all that beautiful light and nurturing into the new generation. And she's just really amazing. She has these out-of-body experiences that we're going to talk about. We met when I was hosting a retreat in Sedona, and we were at the same campsite, and we ended up doing a lot of beautiful ceremonies. She came down here to the sanctuary. We held more beautiful ceremonies. And so welcome to the Nature Venture, Nicole.
Hey, Amalia.
Hi, Nicole.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for being on here with me today. How's your day going today?
Oh, so good. I've been living in Sedona this past year, and it's just starting to warm up and everything's flowering. So it feels like the summer vibes are rolling in. It's pretty cool.
Beautiful. Where's your favorite spot to hang out right now?
I live in Cottonwood, which is right outside of Sedona. And there's a spot by the water, by the bird, and all the cottonwood trees are blooming. So that has been a spot lately. But in Sedona, I love going on all the hikes. Cathedral Rock is one of my favorites.
Didn't we go there once or no?
I don't think we went there together, but you might have gone there while you were here.
Okay, yeah. Beautiful. I miss being in Sedona so much. You guys have no idea. Like, if you've been to Sedona, then you know. But
yes,
it's such a magical place.
It's a magical place, and Sedona misses you.
No, I'm really hoping to be able to go back, and I will. I'm gonna go back sometimes.
Yes, we'll be here.
I prepared some questions for this little interview.
Okay.
So I want to know and tell us about your experience with developing into your galactic self, into, developing those gifts of yours. How can someone, that's going through that journey, what is some things that you recommend for them?
Sure. So I'd like to preface this with I never was interested in galactics. I never, I always thought that they were real, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. And I've always been spiritual, and I've always meditated, have always connected with nature, animals, plants. So I've always had that foundation in me. I'm a natural healer. I'm a teacher. So I've taught special ed for over 12 years. Early childhood education, so kids from birth to age 8 and 9. So I've always been in that helping field. But it was a few years ago, I had a profound experience with ayahuasca, and she changed everything for me. During my ceremony is when I had my galactic awakening, where I saw that there is way more existing than us humans here on this planet. And I think the biggest takeaway from that experience too was realizing that I am part of that galactic experience as well. It's not something outside of me. And that ceremony was 2 years ago, and I'm still integrating and learning every day. And I think that's the main thing to keep in mind is all of this, abundant technology information, it just keeps going. So every day I'm learning, every day I'm growing. you know, some days are beautiful and euphoric and bliss, and other days are sad and crying and confused because this is all so new, you know, and this time that we're in, it's new for everyone, and the events that are happening on our planet now have never happened before. So I'm happy to be um, stepping into this power, and starting to talk about my experiences and share them, because I know that a lot of people are going through this awakening as well. So I'm happy to be here and talk about everything galactic today.
Yee. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Definitely, ayahuasca is a very big opener to the dimensions of life. Um,
Mm,
Very beautiful stuff. Very beautiful.
yes.
Um, Thank you for being a new Earth leader to the generations right now. That is a beautiful task to take on, to be a teacher, and all the love that you hold, that you're so nurturing, Nicole. Oh, I love her hugs, guys.
Oh, thank you. I love
Um,
giving hugs.
yeah. Okay, another question on this topic. So, with integrating all this galactic love and the unity consciousness, how would you describe that to someone?
Yeah, so where to start? Basically, what I've learned in this whole experience is that many of us, our souls are not originally from Earth. And I know that you are one of those star seeds as well. We've had many connections and ceremonies to share these beautiful upgrades and transmissions that come through. And basically, our souls volunteered to come here to help this awakening of our planet. And um, we you know, we might have had lives on different star systems, we might have had lives on different planets. It may be many, it may be one, I don't really know. But I am learning that we a lot of us have come here during this very special time, this dawning, this age of Aquarius, where our earth is ascending, and we are stepping into a higher vibration of energy and consciousness. And um, we have all volunteered to come here and be this collective light and channel this energy and this light from the stars to be able to help everyone ascend into this fifth dimensional consciousness, and it keeps going from there. Currently, you know, we've been residing in the third dimensional consciousness on Earth, which is very dense, very heavy. A lot of people are suffering. A lot of people are confused. So once you can step into these higher dimensions of consciousness, you can start to embody the love that is here and the love that is from the stars and that they're sending to us all the time. Um, and, you know, it's referred to as Christ consciousness too. And it's really, you know, when Jesus was here, he embodied this consciousness of pure love, unconditional love, and he spread his word and planted those seeds. Um, and it was, you know, it was a long time ago, but it was important for that time for him to come and plant those seeds of knowledge then. So now we could all have that to embody and awaken into this new consciousness. So we're all really walking each other home. You know, we're all remembering who we are and why we came here. And it's just such a beautiful time to be on this planet.
Aho, aho. Oh,
Oh,
you guys don't know, aho means like amen. So, amen. That is very beautiful. Christ consciousness has been the topic because that's exactly what it is. And um, I want to dive deep into this topic right now because we just went through the eclipse. We are almost at the tailgate of the retrograde. There's been a lot of planetary movements that have really, there's been a lot of talk conspiracies of what's going on. For example, the eclipse being an ellipse and like all these stuff. But for example, during the eclipse, my ancestors were like, get your drums, start drumming. And I felt like if I was on medicine during that few minutes, and they just had me keep going, and I could feel and visualize all these ancestors and tribes like holding the ceremony, holding the earth as she like flipped some switch or something, and ever since then it's been, we've been knowing and getting told that the light has already won, but it really feels even more grounded into that now. So what has been your experience with, for example, for me, the eclipse is like combating fear, right? And the more that we're able to embrace fear and transmute that into love is the more that we're able to channel and embody the Christ consciousness of, all that beautiful compassion. So what is your take on that?
Thank you for sharing that you had a beautiful ceremony, because we did here as well. And there was lots of music around a sacred fire. Lots of prayers were made, and we had the same feeling. Like after our ceremony, it felt like we did it. Like whatever it was that we had to do, it was accomplished. And I couldn't help but think, like, as I'm looking at the eclipse, like how many other people, how many other light workers, how many other star seeds are gathered around a sacred fire, a sacred song, and putting in their prayers of love to bring in this new wave of consciousness. And it just was so felt. There were moments during our ceremony when I just saw like flashes and flashes of white light, like we were under a strobe light. But it felt very heavenly, very angelic, very galactic, so held in love, and just purity. So it was really, really beautiful. And I feel like since that eclipse, the energy has shifted, and everything is more lighter and happier, and blockages that were there, like to see next steps, are kind of clearing the path now. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who honored our precious earth that day, and our moon and our sun and the stars. And it was felt around the world. And beautiful, beautiful day.
Beautiful, beautiful day, beautiful ceremonies. What a time to be alive, literally.
I know. We're very, very lucky to be here.
Very lucky. So, okay, let's get into that. So we've been told, and I'm looking very much forward to these next 3 years, because it's like the grand like spark, right? Like everything is going to absolutely, as it's been said, perhaps at that point we're going to be able to be manifested with our galactics next to us, or like, so what's your take on that? I know you think it's possible, right? But what's your take?
Well, I think, people are starting to talk about galactics a lot more now, especially in the mainstream, which is awesome to see. But everybody thinks that there's something outside of us, like they're beings that live out there, and they're not connected to us as humans, us on this planet. And that is not my experience. I'm learning every day in my channeling that I am a galactic. My soul is from somewhere else, and I came here on this mission to help humans ascend into this 5D Christ consciousness. So we, as we continue to learn this connection and these abilities, they just continue to come online. And I never thought that this would be my path. And I just want to say that for everybody listening. It's just come, and it's never anything I was looking for, but I'm so happy that this has happened. And the cool part is that I think most of us are galactics. I think everybody has a connection to somewhere else. So this isn't something that's unattainable or unrealistic. It's very, very much real. And these galactic beings, they are pure love. They're not here to harm. And as humans, we've done a lot of destruction on this planet with pollution, with wars, atomic bombs, all these things are killing the planet. The rainforests are struggling, they're cutting down all the trees. They're, losing water. Now there's a bunch of flooding. So, and that's the heart of our planet. Without these rainforests, we can't survive. We won't have enough oxygen. We won't have enough nutrients here to make it. And the waters are getting polluted. There's just so many things. The oceans are filled with plastic, all of the animals that are struggling and dying. There's just so much happening here. And, the galactics they come live here on Earth through our bodies, so this is their home too. And that's the part that kind of trips you out and makes you think whoa, this is way bigger than I ever could understand. So, they don't want this planet to die, because if this planet dies, it ripples out into the universe and it affects many other planets, many other star systems, many other civilizations of beings. So they're really here to help us kind of break through all these blockages and all these structured paradigms that we've been, programmed into, and really see the true purpose of being here, which is to be free, to love, to sing, to, grow plants and eat the food that you're growing, and respect animals, respect nature, respect the waters, respect the land, respect the mountains, because they're all sentient beings. They're all part of this collective consciousness that we are all part of. So I think, for anybody who's interested in, figuring out what this galactic thing is and how do I open up to it, it's really just accepting that this is a reality, that we're not just this floating planet all isolated in this universe and we're the only things that are living here. It's not what I've seen. So just being open has been a huge way to step into this. And yeah, I think as time goes on and as we all explore these connections that we have with galactic races, we're going to see that we're not very separate. We're all part of this one consciousness that is helping our planet evolve.
We're all one. Absolutely. Yes. Definitely the galactics for me lately. So I've been really seeing that this Earth is Wonderland, right? When we look at Alice in Wonderland, and when we have these cosmic galactic experiences out in nature, tell me that's not Alice in Wonderland.
It is.
Right? Right? So that's truly a good message to share to the people. And I loved how you worded it. And there is so many things happening to our Earth. And for sure, for me, I hope that in those upcoming 3 years, that a lot more people are able to experience Earth as we do, as this Alice in Wonderland experience, and see it as alive and as one, right? Because we are all one. And oh my goodness. So a good question that I think that people are wanting to know is, could you share with us a technique or ceremony that someone could do to call upon their galactics and, connect with them?
Sure. So, I was able to kind of jump into this through ayahuasca, which was, she was such an activator and such a key of wisdom for me to unlock all of these things within. But, she called me and I knew that I had to drink her. So that might not be the case for everyone. There's, you're going to have other ways to tap into this consciousness. So, what you were talking about, how we're all in this Alice in Wonderland, that's very, very accurate and a very, correct way to describe it, because I see, since I've been working on my vibration and frequency, everything, when I walk out in nature, everything is brighter. The plants are more green and vibrant. It feels like I'm on medicine, but I'm not. I'm just accessing that consciousness. The sun has been shifting for me, where it's a lot brighter and like a piercing white or a blue sometimes. So things change, and it's really heaven on earth. It's here. And it's not, everybody's talking about the new earth, and that, this split in consciousness is going to create two different earths, and, people are going to leave. And I I don't understand it as that. I very much think that we're going to stay here in this shift. It's just a shift of consciousness. So it's once you can tap into this consciousness, you can start to see, oh, it's all right here. Like we don't have to die to go to heaven. Like it's we can access it, you know? And that's the biggest thing that I've kind of learned in all this is, you know, in the beginning when all these galactic experiences were happening, I was like, oh my God, I'm leaving. Like, oh, where am I gonna go? Like, I don't know. Because there's, you know, I have these very out of body experiences where it feels like I'm gone. But then I always come back, you know, and I always think like I don't want to leave. You know, I like it here. I love all my family and my friends, and I don't want to be somewhere else. I came here. You know, I chose to come here. So just realizing that that's really what's going on has been huge, and just accepting that this consciousness is everyone can access it. Everyone has these abilities. Um, it's not just me, it's not just you, you know, it can, once you tap in, it's possible. I'm sorry, I forgot what your question was.
That was perfect. That was
Okay.
perfect. Once someone wants to tap in, it's going to begin happening for them.
Oh yeah,
And
so steps to tap in. I do have that. Sorry, I was building up to that. So yeah, so during this you know, when I had my ayahuasca experience, you know, she came to me and told me, you know, you can um she kind of showed me like an avatar of myself. So like, you know, when you play a video game and you're like the avatar spinning around and you can select which one. I saw myself, but I was beautiful. I was very like fit. I was radiant. I was glowing. And she told me, you know, you can be this, but you have to change what you're putting inside of your body. And in that moment, I made an agreement. I was like, okay, whatever it takes. Like, yes, I'll do it. I didn't really understand what that meant, but I knew that I wanted to be this higher version of myself. So I was teaching in Denver at the time. When I went back home, you know, just things were different. Like something had clicked in my brain where I just could not do some of the old things that I was doing. So, you know, at the time I was eating meat, and I went to like prepare some chicken, and I got sick and threw up and had to throw it away. And I was like, wow, I can't eat meat anymore. And I had been a vegetarian like on and off in the past, but it was more like compassion for the animals, and just I felt bad about it. This time it was like I could see the vibration of the food and that it was dead and it was like tortured, and I just couldn't put it in my body anymore. So that was like a big shift that had happened. Another thing, I was a big social drinker, and I went to like you know, like pour a glass of wine, and I just was like, I don't really want this anymore. And I just like cleared everything else that was in my fridge, and just started making these shifts that allowed me to become lighter, become more clear, clearing out toxins in my body. I did a lot of fasts, a lot of cleansing, and really have just been working on building my vibration and frequency, because ultimately that's how we save the world, is focusing on ourselves. You know, we think, especially me being a teacher, I spent so much time helping all these kids, helping all these families, putting so much of myself into other people. And during this whole experience, I had to take a step back from public education and really just take that time to focus on myself, which has been huge. And just really just working on raising my vibration and my frequency, because once you do that for yourself, all the problems, all the blockages, everything that was keeping you from growing, it kind of just fades away. And things that you used to worry about, you realize it doesn't really matter anymore. And once you raise your own vibration and frequency, it helps go into the collective, so it helps lift everyone up. So that has been just like a huge thing for me, is like every day I've like cut out at least an hour of time where I devote to my spiritual practice, which, you know, for me, I do the sauna, I meditate, I walk in nature, I have my things, I pray. And that works for me, but it's going to be different for everyone. It's not like a one fits all kind of thing. It's whatever works for you. But I just recommend like just spending time alone, to really connect with your guides, and just asking them for guidance, because angels and our guides can always guide us and help us, but they can't really step in unless you ask for their permission, you ask for their help. They don't want, because we have free will, so they don't want to come in and just change everything. We have to communicate with them. So just making it a daily practice to talk with our guides and ask for help and ask for guidance and some wisdom has been huge. So yeah, setting an hour of time a day just to connect spiritually, whatever that may be. It could be yoga, it could be dancing, it could be going for a walk. But just really like taking that time for yourself is huge. Also, I spend a lot of that time in nature, which is everything for me. The way that spirit communicates with me a lot is through animals and through nature. So if I'm like, say I'm outside walking and I have a song on, a certain lyric will come on, and then a bird will fly past my face, and it's like, it gets my attention, and I know like, oh, that message was for me. So it's really just learning what your language with spirit is, because that's going to be different for everyone. And don't get discouraged if like you have a friend who's seeing all this, getting clairvoyant visuals, and you're not, but that's okay, because you may be getting it through other senses. So it's really just, don't like look at one person and think I have to get there. It's look at you and trust yourself and your guides and your power and your light within, and see how those, communications are going to happen, because they're different for everyone. Another thing is just eliminating fluoride from your diet. It calcifies the pineal gland, which is basically like our walkie-talkie to spirit. So, I use like fluoride-free toothpaste. I, drink spring water. I stay away from tap water if you can, or get, filtered stuff, but really spring water is the goal, because it's coming straight from the earth and it has all the minerals that your body needs. And then just with your food, just making sure that it has a life force. So I like to eat a lot of plants, a lot of vegetables and fruits, just stuff that God made. And there's somebody said it online, like, if God didn't make it, don't take it. And I try to just stick with that, like eliminating processed stuff. Some people do eat meat, but I just see it as a vibrational thing. So I just try to stick with food that has a life force, has a seed, is going to bring another is getting natural sunlight. We've been programmed to think that sun is bad for us, and everybody's wearing sunglasses, layering on sunblock, and I think that stuff is really making us sick. So just making sure that you get raw and unfiltered sunlight during the day, and it doesn't have to be for a long time. The morning, sunrise and sunset is the best time, because it's not as strong and it doesn't hurt your eyes. So like the Egyptians used to have ceremonies where they would worship the sun. So just like if you can catch a sunset or a sunrise and just stare into the sun, it can do wonders. And there's so many codes. And even if you don't really understand it, that's okay. We just have to take it in, because we are these light bodies. We're electromagnetic beings, and we are the connection from the earth to the stars. So the sun has just been a huge part of that. Sometimes I'll still wear sunglasses if I'm driving and I like can't see. But like just on the day to day, if I'm outside, I try not to wear sunglasses anymore, just to get that raw unfiltered light. Also, if you wear contacts or glasses, that blocks that light too. So like if you wear contacts, just go outside for 10 minutes without them in the morning and just get some of that light. It also, when we get that unfiltered sunlight, it can communicate with our brain to tell our skin that we're in the sun. So you won't get as sunburnt if your eyes are naturally filtering the light. So you'll see, I used to wear sunblock like every day. I was so like scared about getting burnt. But once I started consciously absorbing, skin has relaxed and I'm not getting as burnt, which is pretty cool. So there's a technology there, and there's a reason that all these ancient cultures worship the sun. It's very, very powerful and gives us lots of information. And then the one last thing that I have here is to just limit your media consumption and alcohol consumption. So, a lot of what's put out on the media right now is very fear-based. They want us to be scared. They want us to think that all these bad things are happening. And, they do happen if you put your attention to it, but everything where your attention goes, energy flows. So if you're paying attention to all these fear-based things, you're building that ball of fear that's floating around right now. So just try to cut it off. If you're out with the trees, you're not scared. And I've learned so much from you with all of that too. But really just like limiting that. And then alcohol is okay once in a while, but if you're constantly drinking, it really does lower your vibration. So these are all tips that I've learned in the past couple of years to uplift myself and in turn help raise our collective consciousness.
Thank you for sharing all of that. That is beautiful. So there you guys go. You have a complete guide to how to tune in. Detox the body. I've talked to you guys about that before. You can find a previous episode. But in that detox, in those daily practices, and in asking for the help, everything is going to flow for you. And I love how you also reminded us that, everyone has their own process and journey, and, different gifts develop differently for everyone, and to not compare yourself to people that you see that are, more advanced, but to enjoy the phase of life that you're in, I think is a very beautiful reminder. And another beautiful thing that you mentioned was to focus on healing yourself, and that ripples out and heals everyone around us. I think for me personally, and I know a lot of people struggle with this, is when we really accept being a healer, we want to heal everyone around us and overshare all that love and knowledge. And we see and we feel all the empathy, all the suffering and pain, and we want to help people transmute that. But sometimes people are not ready for that part to take place in their journey, And so, coming back into so sometimes it's better really to focus all of that into ourselves to heal, transmute, and through that people can see your elevation and choose to also take part in that journey for themselves. And so sometimes that's the way that we can help other people without being directly there, if that makes sense. But I think for me personally, that was like a really big thing, because I really struggled with that and wanting to heal everyone until I had to accept that, I don't have to go out to the world. I'm going to focus on my home, my family, and myself. And through that, the past 3 years have been an immense portal of really good stuff. I mean, we're still obviously with, a lot of stuff happening, but my family is definitely a lot more calmer. And I relate it a lot to the eclipses. So with every eclipse, it's like an upgrade, and it's just very beautiful. And okay, I want to tap back into, you were talking about the sun.
Yeah.
And the sun. We've done sun ceremonies, but recently I was with some people that had never really sun gazed before. So it was an absolute joy. We were at the beach and we were sun gazing. It's a beautiful portal. And they could see the aura of the sun. They could see different light codes coming in. And it was very beautiful to be able to share that with them. And a meditation that I think I could share with you guys, but I did literally yesterday, is I sat under the sun with my eyes closed, and there was a cloud, but then it opened up and it was my body became all that light. So sometimes when we do, for example, there's this protection energy technique that I do where you expand white light, right? And you become the bubble of light. And Nicole actually shared this with me a while ago. Nothing can penetrate my light, right? That line. It's a very powerful line. So if you're ever in a moment of confusion with anything, you can always say that. And yeah. Ooh, okay. I want to get into right now. because when I was saying that, sometimes the energies of like anxiety or the energies of like procrastination, I've been seeing them kind of as like a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And so when those thoughts come by, right, like negative thoughts, kind of saying that to them and how that helps clear the mind. So, what is your, I know you've had many ceremonies, right, where you have felt, for example, with the rapé. The rapé, for anyone that's not familiar with it, is grinded up tobacco that is blown up into your nostrils, and it clears your feminine and your masculine, and it clears your many bodies of light. And it's a very powerful ceremony that could be done at different levels where it's not as intense, but it could be done on a doses where it kind of gives you a detox, it gives you a purge, and you go into removing things from your body at a cellular level, like spitting it out, or you go in through ceremonies. And so I experienced a couple of ceremonies with Nicole, and in one of those, or well, all of them, I could feel, right, like being unplugged and feeling things being disconnected and reconnected and realigned. And so I want to ask you about that, about your experience with removing, right, those attachments, removing all of that stuff energetically, and just what's your experience there?
Oh, well, I love rape. It's such a beautiful medicine, and for me is always like a guarantee that a transmission's going to come through. So usually when I do rape, I will start channeling and speaking in light language. Um I don't always understand what's happening, but I just have made this agreement with the galactics and with my guides to be an open vessel, and whatever information needs to come through me, whatever energy needs to come through me, I allow it. So for me, a lot of the times I'll speak in light language, or different things will happen with my hands, and I just see it as, for me, I see it as like bringing in. I see myself as like a bit of energy. So I'll pull in energy from the stars and like anchor it into our earth. And same thing, like grounding, pulling that grounding energy from our earth and like shooting it up to the stars. Um, and it's, yeah, like what you said about the anxiety feelings, it's very real. When these big bursts of energies come through, we like to call it a surge sometimes. That just is what has come to mind. But it's like a surge of energy comes through your body, and it resembles anxiety or like a panic attack. Is something wrong? Is this anxiety? But it's really just like a transmission of energy. So like it helps to just like focus on my breathing when that happens, and you'll notice like if these surges come through and happen to you, they might happen when you meet a new person, or if you haven't seen somebody in a while and you exchange a hug, you'll both be like, "Oh," and it's normal. It's not anything bad. And you get in your head and you're like, "Oh God, what is this feeling? What am I feeling? I'm sensing something. Is it bad? Is it good? I don't know." And it's good. It's very good. And that's what I've learned is, these surges happen. We're upgrading each other. So, we all have these special gifts. We all have this light inside of us, and we all are keys for each other. So when we connect with each other, when we hug each other, when we look into each other's eyes, so much information is passed when we have these conversations. It's all doing things like, you're unlocking me, I'm unlocking you, we're unlocking people that are listening. So it's all part of this web of consciousness that we're all part of. So Rafe has been a beautiful medicine to kind of facilitate that, and just really connect to spirit. It's like an automatic for me that I know I'm gonna go in. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, sorry, you kind of froze for a moment.
Oh, sorry.
I love frappe. It was very beautiful, and yeah, during those moments, as you said, breathing is a really good anchor point for me. I know for when you're going through this, we're so like hyper aware of our body and like what we're experiencing. And yeah, just what you said there is a good reminder, because when we are feeling any of that, like, as you say, surges of energy, and we don't know how to identify them, we can instantly just take those deep breaths, transmute it, and just receive it as a code.
Yes.
Talking about receiving codes, I want to ask you, what are some ways that you receive in your body the sensations? For example, lately, for some reason, I don't know if this is like to other people, but on my feet, on the soles of my feet, you know, when your leg or arm falls asleep and you get like ants and it's tingly?
Mm-hmm.
But randomly, without my feet being asleep, like I'll start to get like that electric pulsation come up, and I'm like, okay, and I breathe through it, and I feel
Yes.
the electrical stuff happening. I don't know.
Yeah.
So tell us.
Yeah, that definitely happens with me too, especially when I'm like walking barefoot outside. I'll feel that exchange of electromagnetic energy. Um, Also, when we did our eclipse ceremony, I felt it very much in my hands. I was able to like harness this energy that felt like it was coming out, yes, and hold it and play with it, and it's just so cool. So, like, that's been the coolest part of this whole journey is like something really magical will happen and I'll be like, whoa, that was crazy. I can't believe that just happened. And then I think that that's it, and then like I've achieved what I'm supposed to achieve. And then like a couple weeks go by and something else will happen where I'm like, oh my God, I'm like holding a ball of energy right now. So anything is possible. I with grounding just to go back to that because I didn't mention it in the steps, that is a huge part of this whole process too, is like making sure that you are connecting, and not only physically like feet on the earth like hugging a tree, but also with your consciousness sending your roots down and really connecting to the core of our earth, because a lot of us are so in our head all the time. And this is something that I've learned just recently about myself, that because of all this channeling and all this meditation that I go into, I'm very much like out there all the time. So like in the past couple months I've been really focusing on grounding, and even like if I'm sitting inside too, like during meditation, just sending my roots down and connecting to the earth, because once we do that, everything is easier and we don't feel confused. It's a lot easier to manifest things if we got our foundation down.
Mhm.
So that has been like just a huge learning that I've come through in the past couple of months, is like really connecting to the earth, really grounding, which has been huge. And yeah, the energy, I just feel like as these days go on, it's stronger and stronger every day. Like I'm amazed. I'm amazed at what is happening. It's beautiful, and I can't wait to see what the future brings, because every day it's something new.
Yeah. With the grounding, it's literally, yeah. And I want to connect the grounding back into what we were talking about, the light codes and absorbing the sunlight and anchoring that into Mother Earth. So I've shared with you guys before on, but I'll remind you guys. We are essentially pillars of light, right? We are bodies of light. That's what we've been talking about here. And when we absorb light, we are like the trees, like the plants, going through a process of photosynthesis, of anchoring, absorbing, and dealing with light codes. Something that is, I don't know how to truly explain, but our body is doing that process. And okay, like the grounding, right? The trees, something that I've been really working with them is, you can imagine the trees as literally pillars of light, and they're the bridges, right, between Earth and the cosmos. And right now, something that they really want me to share is this technique of, we have been working with the grounding roots of Earth, but they want us to now connect through those pillars of light, through the trees and ourselves, visualizing ourselves connecting out to the cosmos and the roots of the cosmos. And that is the work of reconnecting, reigniting the tree of life of Earth. And I say that as the sun comes up over the and so it's a new form of grounding those light codes and coming into that unity. And I think if you guys could do that meditation, you would have a beautiful experience, and definitely a way to connect to the galactics, because they're there and they're like reaching their hands and they're like, we got you. And it's beautiful.
Yes, and Amalia, you have taught me so much about the trees. I am eternally grateful. I mean, when we did that retreat at your ranch and we did the tree ceremony, you had us, take off our shoes, stand under the big oak tree, connect with the roots, and the branches are like brushing our heads. And it was just such a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. And I knew it was beautiful in that time, but it wasn't until like I went back home and started connecting with like trees in my neighborhood and like seeing that this communication is very real. It's been life-changing. So I just want to honor that and thank you again for bringing me into this tree consciousness, because it's changed my life.
Happy tree huggers all around.
Yes. Yeah. And I now I understand why the hippies hug trees. Like I get it now. Like at first I just thought like, oh, they love nature. But no, they're sentient beings. They communicate. They have a soul just like us, like,
Yeah.
and that's what I've learned too, is like, we've lived many lifetimes here and other places, but like sometimes, people's lives here are as a rock or as a tree, and then they evolve into a human. So these trees, they hold so much, and they're not like us where we can walk around and move and share our energy everywhere. They're these stations that just anchor down, and like you said, they're antennas of light. And some of them have been here for hundreds and hundreds of years holding that energy, which is so powerful. So I've learned too that like anytime I feel like my energy is off or I just need something, I'll ground to a tree. And it's they're so healing. And like if I have a headache, I'll just come pray and put my head on the tree, and the tree will take it, which is so beautiful. So for everyone listening, if you haven't hugged a tree yet, go do it. And do Amalia's tree meditations, because they're awesome.
Join us in the tree meditation tour coming to you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience with the tree. I would love to even go a little bit deeper. And do you recall, like, for example, I know when I use like sound bowls or the rattles, it makes a different effect. Do you recall maybe the visuals or seeing colors, like the auras? What was your experience? Because I think you've done like 2 tree meditations, no?
Yeah, well, I think the coolest thing that happened for me during that meditation at your ranch was so sometimes spirit will have me like trance into things. And by that, I mean like my eyes kind of like go out of focus and I'm like super focused into something. And it can happen anywhere. Like, if I'm at a store looking at vitamins, I'll like zoom into one and I know like that's the one I have to take. So it's just the way that my guides communicate with me. They make me like hyper focus on something with my eyes. And during that tree meditation, I had never tranced into a tree before. And there was like a knot on the tree of like, a circle on the tree. And I had to like trance into it and eventually like connect my third eye to this knot on the tree. So that was like really cool. And in that moment, I was like, oh, wow, like this is real, like this tree is communicating and just pulled me into its eye. So that was what I saw during that experience, and it was really, really awesome.
That's beautiful. Hearing your story, it makes me really like befounded to hear that it's not a very common thing known. And Yeah, the trees are very alive. Your testimony on putting your headache towards the tree and it clearing it up, it's very real. Putting our heads under the leaves and receiving all that downfall of like beautiful energy, kind of like a waterfall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very real. And I really wish more people really knew about this and could experience the trees in the way that you're able to now. And thank you for being open to being a tree hugger and
Yes.
repping the tree hugger shirts out in the world.
Yes, I love my tree hugger shirt. And I wanted to, telling that story too, I wanted to bring up how, so being a special ed teacher all these years, I've taught a lot of kids on the spectrum with different disabilities and just differences in their learning. But I've always noticed that kids on the spectrum ground to trees innately. They do it. They know to go connect to trees. And they'll, they're very hyper, not hyper, but highly sensitive, so they have a lot of issues like regulating their sensory systems. And I'll see, like when I take them outside, kids on the spectrum will just go like walk by a tree and lean on it for a little bit, and then to go off, But like the typically developing kids are the ones that we look at as typical. They don't do that, I mean, they do. All kids love trees, but the way that kids on the spectrum connect with trees is different, and it's because they are operating at a higher frequency so they can see it, so it's
Yeah.
always felt like observing like a science project, like just watching how kids, highly sensitive kids interact with nature, because it really does regulate and calm. It calms all of us, of course, but because they are operating at such a higher frequency, it's like it's easier for me to see it. Like, oh, they're grunting to a tree right now. Like they're getting calm, So it's really cool. The kids know.
Yeah, kids know they're super. They're the teachers. They're the live masters right now. But
Uh-huh.
I love that you bring that up because I was reading something that literally linked neurodivergent people to like what we do and following this path of healing and
Yes.
being quantum and galactic, right? And so that's something that I've known that I was neurodivergent, but I was looking at some things and I kind of feel like maybe I'm also autistic, like honestly, in a little way, probably. And because I have some of those like things, but I mean, that's kind of cool. It's like a superpower,
It
And
is.
definitely, I love that the kids know to go to the trees. And I was just like connecting the dots because, like, what if I am? Because I do that. So that's kind of cool. I don't know.
It is cool. And the rates of autism are they're so high now, and we don't really know what's causing it. And it's looked at as, this disadvantage, but really in all the kids that I've worked with, it's a disadvantage in this system that is not set up for them, but if we give them the space and the time to explore their gifts, they really do have superpowers. And some kids have like a mathematical mind and can like put together this complex puzzle in like 10 seconds where it would take me hours, and I watch this and I'm how are you able to do this? So it really, I think the rate now, or the statistic in the United States is like at 1 in every 36 children is born autistic now, or at least diagnosed in their childhood. So there's something happening, there's a change happening. And I think like, there's a lot of factors that can contribute to this. There's, our food is toxic, our water is toxic, there's too many vaccines, there's many things that could cause this, but I don't know what it is. But in my, over 20 years I've been working in education, and I've noticed a big shift in that a lot of kids have these extrasensory gifts and abilities, and they're, now more than ever in the past couple of years, they are just coming in with this knowledge that like has taken me almost 40 years to get to, and when I give them free time to draw, they're drawing portals, they're drawing time machines, they're drawing stars, they are in space, like they are remembering things that
Whoa.
that we, I know I didn't remember as a child. So it's really like making me take a step back from public education in this country and really seeing that it needs to change, and these systems aren't really set up for success anymore. And I do believe that with all of these kids coming in with, this remembrance of who they are and where they came from, that we need to shift the way that we're holding them and teaching them. So I do believe the future is going to be New Earth schools and, focused in nature and, helping them learn how to meditate, how to connect with their guides, how to grow food, how to, beekeep, all that fun stuff. And just really focusing on what's important, focusing on the social interactions, on loving each other, because the way that kids are put into schools now, it doesn't work for most of them anymore. And they know that, and that's why we're having all these behavior issues, because they know that there's something more. And like, most of the history that we're teaching, it's a lie. So like they feel it. They feel like, what are you making me learn right now? And they really just want to play, they want to learn through play. And I believe that's the shift that we're moving into just getting kids to see their special talents and their special gifts at a young age, and allowing them, instead of it getting shut down, because, when these abilities start coming online for us, we don't know where to turn all the time. And if we don't have other spiritual friends that are experiencing something similar, or a parent who gets it, you don't know, and you might think you're going crazy. Like I definitely went through that when all these gifts started coming online. I was hearing voices and I was like, okay, I think I'm a schizophrenic. Like I'm gonna have to get committed. Like I don't know. And the more that I've learned, the more that I've realized, like, no, that's spirit. Like these are my guides talking to me, and I need to learn how to build that communication so I can talk to them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I can't imagine asking your class to draw and seeing them draw portals. That's gnarly. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's cool. And I know, like, they're all into Minecraft and stuff where that is a thing, but there's a reason. There's a reason why they love that stuff. It's because it's giving them, a step into the magical world and seeing that it is real. It doesn't have to be this made up thing. Like portals are real, energy is real. Dragons are real. Like all of these things
Yeah.
exist. And it's giving them that permission to play in that world and know that they're safe, you know?
I love, literally, I wish there was more teachers like you. I wish all teachers were like you, because I I can imagine the freedom that those kids have to not be denied their wild visions that they're receiving. And I know when I was a kid and stuff like that, no, I got shot down immediately. But I had people like my grandma telling me like epic stories, and I'd be like, yeah, my visions were like super spot on. And now, like, coming back into them after they were like turned off for a long time, like a lot of us, right? It's it's beautiful, but we can all really, it's possible for everyone to come back into your abilities, your gifts, no matter how, much time they haven't been in work.
Yes, yes. And another thing with these with all these kids coming through now, they they're coming in without karma. So like I know for myself, like I came in with a lot of karma probably from past lives, things I still don't really understand, but it was a lot of like layers that I had to work through, and like work through these like things about myself, these blockages, these fears, these self-limiting beliefs. And it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of crying involved with all of this. But it's all worth it to get to where I want to be. But a lot of these kids are coming in without this karma, so they don't have to worry, like I mean, of course there's things happening in their worlds that makes them worry, but they're not carrying all that past life stuff, which is really cool. And Dolores Cannon has a book, Three Waves of Volunteers, and I just finished reading that, and it really like opened my eyes a lot, to see just really understand what we're all doing here, and all of us volunteers. There's three waves. The first wave was like probably like my grandparents' age, like after World War II. And they were the first wave of light workers that came through, and they really had it the hardest. Like they did not understand why it was so dense here. Like they came from places of love. A lot of them committed suicide in doing their work. Like they struggled. But they had to lay that foundation for these new waves coming in. And I believe that I'm a second waver. So the second wave volunteers we really don't have to do much. We just have to be, which is pretty cool. Like your energy just walking through a crowded mall can like help a bunch of people. But also, we bring messages, we bring our energy, we bring our love to spread to everyone. And, the third wave of volunteers are these children that are coming in. And I think you might be a part of this wave too. I don't know which one you would be. But all the indigo children, the crystal children, the star children, they're coming in with these remembrances and these abilities from a very young age where they're able to tap into the cosmos, and they remember where they came from, and they're not scared to talk about it. Like I know when I first started having, my awakening, like in 2012, like I would like be cautious of like, who am I telling these stories to? Because I was a teacher and blah, blah, blah. But, these kids that are coming in, they have such a love for animals, a love for nature. Like, if I'm reading a book to some first graders and it talks about like, uh, I don't know, like something dying, like an animal or something, like these kids will start crying. They're like, no, but they're animals. They're not supposed to die. Like it's different. Like they are just
No.
they have this love and understanding, and they just get it. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like when I look at these kids, I'm like, dude, you got it. Like you get why you're here, and that's so beautiful. So yeah, these kids are just coming in with this unity consciousness. It's already ingrained in their DNA, and they're here to spread the light and help this ascension process we're all going through.
Mm, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
One of my friends, up in LA, she goes to schools and it's like elementaries, and they do yoga and they do like breath work and they meditate. And
Mm,
it's like so beautiful to see, like, it's happening now. Earlier you were talking about how it's better for kids to have education more in the like new, like that actual earth. And
yes.
I've been seeing a lot more of Montessori schools like take place, like open up, right? And um, a big shift is literally happening. And like, for example, pursuing all of this, right? Like talking about the trees. Not that's not like a normal career, but
Right,
I
right.
somehow figured out a way to well, I don't even make a living out of talking about the trees, but it's like my passion, right? And it's like what fuels my soul to like share and like share.
Yeah. I
So
remember oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Have you ever read the story The Giving Tree, a children's book?
I not when I was little, but a few months ago I came across it. Yes.
It's one of my favorites, and like for years I would read that book to, classrooms full of young kids, and I would cry, because the story is about this giving tree. It's an apple tree, and as a little boy he eats the apples, he plays on it, and then as he grows up he gets really greedy and ends up chopping it down to build a house. And the stump is just left there, and it's still like, whatever, you can sit on me, like whatever you want, I'll still give it to you. And I would always read that book to kids, and like I would tear up, and I would like catch myself like, why am I crying over this book, but now it's like, I understand, I know why, because like my job is to teach, and to show everybody that nature is part of us. Um and like some kids will get it, some kids are just playing and don't even pay attention, but some kids, like I'll look when I'm reading and they're entranced, and they're just like, they just look like they want to cry too, because it's so special. um so yeah, I just really, it's been hard for me to like step away from public education and see what this role is now for me, because right now it's not anything that's making money either, but I know that I am holding the vision for the future for our kids, you know?
Yes,
So I think the more that we have these conversations and the more that we talk about it, we'll build it, you know?
yes. And a good thing that you said there is the third waivers, right? And something that this whole conversation is helping me do is really be open and sharing these stories. And as we were talking about it before the show, right? Like it's our normal life. But
Right.
somehow when I talk about it to an audience, it's like still kind of like a taboo in my mind to share, right? Because and you talked about it, it's like, well, who's like listening? And I had a lot of like limiting beliefs on like if I talk about this openly, someone's gonna come get me. But
Right.
that's not the case. And it's we're free to share, and in sharing, and you talked about it as well, we share those codes. We share that it's okay for other people to tune in as well. And thank you for having these conversations with me today and helping this audience get to know these beautiful ways to connect, tune in, and everything that's happening with the new generation. And yeah,
Thank you. It's been so cool to have these conversations, and I hope that we'll have many more in the future.
I definitely look forward to seeing each other and many more ceremonies to come. And it's happening. We are building New Earth. It's literally here. And everything that we're involved with, our projects, they're taking place. And we're in the right place at the right time. And I honor you for being part of my spiritual team here, the ground crew, as the girls would call it, our friends. Because we are, and through all the ceremonies, through all the things that we do, it's going to get built. And I look forward to you being one of the New Earth teachers and at the new beautiful schools that are going to get built. So thank you.
Thank you, Amalia. I love you.
I love you too, Nicole. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience?
Um, I think we covered a lot today. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my name is Nicole.soul, Nichole.soul. And I'd like to try to post information on there to help people who are also going through awakenings. And in the future, there will be a lot more too.
Epic, epic. So follow along, guys, because she is always part of beautiful ceremonies taking place globally, I want to say, because she follows spirit and goes forever. So follow her along for her journey. Lots of beautiful things coming in. Thank you guys for tuning in to Nature Venture. I hope that you learned a lot from us or just enjoy the conversation. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.